our day here today where we have 40 new preschoolers starting in our preschool program here at Village of Hope, Bulale. These kids have come here today to meet their teachers, to receive some school supplies and some clothing, just to give them a really great start into their new education. And we're just really looking forward to everything that God has for this community as we start our education and feeding program and medical care and sharing the love of Jesus with these children.
Karibuni. Welcome, everyone. So this is our missions team from Tanzania. If you don't know everyone, we have John and Fran Krajkovic, Linika Naninga, Elizabeth, Amy, who's joined us from Lake Mount Church, Sarah and Rachel, and Jacob. And we're happy to tell you about our trip. We spent 12 days traveling to and spending in Tanzania, and we worked at 2 villages. One is the Village of Hope at Mwanza, which is a well-established children's home with 86 children, and the other was at Village of Hope Bulale, which is in a small village about 20 minutes away, and we're helping with the orientation for a preschool program, and the preschool is starting there in April.
Okay. Thank you, Faith Welland, and everyone else for your prayers. They made a huge difference and blessed us greatly. To sum up this trip in one word would be miracle. God made a way where I thought there was no way. When I first heard about the missions trip to Tanzania, Village of Hope, I thought that would be amazing, but there's no way I would be able to handle all that traveling, so I can't go. Then Rachel signed up, and she was talking about it, and so excited, I had to sign up too. And it was amazing how God encouraged me and gave me the support I needed to go on this trip by using Rachel and the whole team. Signing up was the first step, but I wasn't sure I would actually get to go. I had a lot of doubts and fears. But every Sunday, what was spoken, said, prayed, and sung was just what I needed to hear to take the next step. I related so well to the sermon on Thomas, being a pessimist, yet loyal and not willing to back down. Not sure what lies ahead, but would see it to the end together. And thinking of those kids we hadn't even met yet, but longing to know them and put a face to who they are, knowing whatever it takes to get there is worth it, just to know them. Knowing they are worth dying for. Jesus did, and who knows what God is going to do. I was torn between I can't, but God can. Surrendering to God enabled every step. And God blessed us with an incredible journey, an amazing team, an awesome sister, an unbelievable time with the kids, and your wonderful support. Thank you so much.
At first, I questioned if this was really what God wanted of me, how he would use me. I knew that most of the ministry was with children, and I hadn't been involved in children's ministry for a number of years. I am a grandmother, though, and I know that kids love it when you spend time with them and show them you care. But was this enough? After a conversation I had with Pastor Jamie, I knew that it was definitely of God that I go. This was something that I had wanted to do for a very long time, and Africa was the place I wanted to go. But just knowing that this was the time was what I needed. God is so good as he gives us the desires of our heart, and then he fulfills those desires for us. On day 6 of our team's devotions, the title was, "Here I Am, Send Me." The reading was taken from Isaiah 6, 1 and 12. In this passage, Isaiah had some imperfection that God purified in him. The questions were, are there imperfections or vices in your life that God has been working on you to prepare you for this trip? Usually I want all of my I's dotted and T's crossed, want to know everything that is required of me. At this time I said, I will go, without even knowing exactly what I would be doing. I felt if I didn't go, that I may never have this opportunity again. On the first Sunday in 2018, the message was called Follow the Leader being Jesus, but was about missing a great opportunity. There were 3 points mentioned: that following Jesus is not easy, there is a cost factor; that following Jesus requires urgency, need to do it now, not wait. We can't count on tomorrow. Following Jesus requires a full commitment. Jesus wants us to watch him and do the things that he does in serving others. There was also another time that Pastor Jamie mentioned that it is not our ability, but our availability that God is looking for. All these were God's way of speaking to me and giving me direction. If I hadn't gone on this mission trip, I would have missed out on playing with the kids, singing with them, doing crafts and drama, and with them, and visiting the house mothers with Elizabeth and Lineker, and handing out ladies' gift bags to them at Village of Hope, Mwanza, and being part of the Easter celebration. If I hadn't gone, I would have missed out on helping with preparation to get Village of Hope Balali ready for their orientation day. Would have missed out on handing out pencil cases and clothes to preschoolers, missed out on handing out baby layettes and gift bags to the mothers. Would have missed out seeing the excitement in their eyes as they waited in line to receive from us. And I would have missed out on the excitement I felt in being a part of this. I would have missed out on the kids who cuddle up to you or just reach out and take a hold of your hand. It didn't matter if you were running programs or if you were cleaning floors or sorting and handing out clothes. It was all part of God's plan for us. If I hadn't gone, I would have missed being a part of this team, and I wouldn't be up here telling you all about the trip and God's goodness. If God is calling you to do something, don't hesitate. The opportunity may not come again.
So most of you know the Duggins. Jamie and Misty attended church here for many years, and Jamie's parents, Brian and Jane, are here still. And they followed the call to missions that was in their heart for many years. About 2.5 years ago, they went to Kisumu, Kenya, to work at a Village of Hope. And after 2 years, they felt like they were getting settled in and everything was great. But then they found out they were being transferred to Tanzania. And Misty now is working for the head office of Villages of Hope. There's 9 of them in Africa, and so she's part of the administration. Jamie's tasked with overseeing the Village of Hope in Bulale, which is the new school and feeding program and work in the village there. There's also a farm that he's tasked with managing, although he is not a farmer. Currently, there's 1 goat and 8 cattle, so we've had some farm discussions as well. And then Damien Misty's 4 children are also there. They're homeschooling, they're involved in the church and the youth there, and they were a great asset to our team as well.
When I heard from the Tanzania trip, my heart opened up and I thought, oh, that would be so good. I followed the Duggan's family for the last few years and knew a bit what was going on, but I thought, no, I'm too old for that. It's really time for younger people to go. But when Debbie's email came, Lineke, we are doing children's work and we don't have anybody with experience in the team. Can you please come? I knew for sure God was calling me to go. And we had 4 days, we were asked to do 4 days children's work, an hour for the younger kids, and an hour for the older kids. And the whole team was every day involved in all the things that we did, and the Duggan family's kids as well. So we had a program with puppets, fun games, stories, memory verse, everything to make the gospel as clear as possible for the children. And when the first morning, those kids came in nicely lined up. You looked at their shiny eyes full of expectations. I prayed, Lord, help us to show your love to those children. And they heard Daniel say, just before being thrown to the lion's den, God will take care of those who trust in him. They heard Zacchaeus say, after he came down from the tree, it's kind of a funny tree, on top of the table, climbing down, pretending to be Zacchaeus. But when I came down and said to Jesus, Jesus, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I've done? Don't you hate me? And I heard Jesus' voice say, I know, but I want to be with you. I was touched, and I could see all the children were really touched by God's love. They saw Jesus getting angry at the man when they said, go away, Jesus is not for the children. And they all came to Jesus, and he put his arms around them. And I think they will never forget touching Jesus in their imagination. They saw the 4 friends carrying their lame friend to Jesus and heard them say, your sins are forgiven. Get up and walk. And they saw Luke Duggins, the little boy, jumping around when he was healed, and all his 4 friends as well. So you see, Pastor Jamie, the same message goes all over the world that you preached this morning. They heard the whole gospel explained using the wordless book. Every day they got 1 color about God, about sin, about Jesus, and about forgiving. And at the end of the week, they got 1 home. This all was leading till the last day when invited children to accept Christ. That 19 of the older kids wanted to be counseled and wanted to accept Jesus and follow him with their whole life. It was such a joy to counsel with them and see how serious they were and to pray with them and to hear them quoting John 1 verse 12 and put their own name in it for, I am accepted Christ, I believe in his name. He gave me the power to be a child of God. What a joy that was. In the meantime, some of the local staff came in and were sitting in, and they put all the names down. And they will follow up. Some are from the village, some even maybe Muslim kids, and they tried to start a Bible study just with those 19 kids. And I can be in contact with them too, and that's a really blessing for me. And I hope to be able to sponsor one of those children till adulthood. So I can be a little part of growing in the family of God. And this all, after being in this group there, they asked me to do some training. They wanted to know a bit how we did it and what we did and how it all went. And that was a big joy for the Duggan families, the local workers and the team to do some training on the Saturday morning. This whole trip for me was a real gift of God. All the different things that we did to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And I know we have been a blessing for the Duggan families, for the local people there, for all those children. But I know for sure the biggest blessing was for us. If you step out in faith, even with fear and trembling, like I did, He will help you. And the blessings that you get by serving God in that way is just way beyond all my expectations.
Good morning. This African attire is actually very comfortable. When we first started talking about the missions trip, I asked myself, why am I going and what do I want to see? I really wanted to see Africa and the vision or the Village of Hope sponsorship through the eyes of a child. God says, suffer your children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of God. We wanted to be the help to the missionaries that they needed. They needed encouragement and support. And to have us there, they were so blessed as we were blessed too. It was such a blessing to see us bring these 9 full, overstuffed suitcases of stuff from Sew on Fire and also different churches that had donated. We brought little girls' dresses that they had sewn, shorts, children's kits, teachers' kits. Also, we had packages for the young mamas who take care of these children. And what a blessing it was for us to share all this with them. The Tanzania people are a very happy people. They're always smiling and so grateful for everything that they have received from all of us. Doug and myself, we decided we were going to sponsor one of these children when I was out there. So I was hoping to meet the one. Elijah, our grandson, he gave me a little teddy bear, and one of his teddy bears, and he says, Nana, I want you to share that teddy bear with a very sad child. I had met this one little boy. He was actually in some of the pictures there. He had his T-shirt, the shoulders were missing. He was all ripped. He had rips all over his T-shirt, desperate need of shoes. So I felt like this would be the little child that we should sponsor. But I couldn't very well give him the teddy bear with all these other little kids around, so before I knew it, the program was done, and all the kids were walking out, and he was gone. I figured, oh no, I missed my opportunity. But then I see this pregnant mama on the side, and she was pregnant. She had this little girl with her, and the little girl looked so sad. I go, oh, this is it. So I asked her, kind of hand gestures. They don't understand me, and I don't understand them, if she would like this little teddy bear. And she had the biggest smile ever. And I knew this would make Eli very happy. So what a blessing it was and so we decided to sponsor both of them, the little boy with the ripped shoulders and also the little girl with the teddy bear. And what a blessing it is to meet the kids we're going to sponsor and also build a lasting relationship with them. God is so good. And on our last 2 days, we had the privilege of going on a Serengeti safari tour where we discovered many elephants and zebras and giraffes and laughing hyenas and monkeys and the whole bit. Oh, it was just fabulous. But my one granddaughter, Kennedy, was praying that Nana would see a big lion. Well, we seen all these animals right up to the end of the second day. We had no sight of no lion, so I was a little expecting it. And then all of a sudden the tour guide says, sorry, it's time to go. So he just was ready to start the vehicle, and then what do we see is these 2 lionesses running across the road. And then another lioness came out of a bush and lay down on the road, and we watched them for a while, and then the tour guide got a call saying somebody spotted some lions off the trail. So our tour guide jumps around, follows this trail, and wow, what a sight! There was this volleyball field with a pride of 14 lions, and they were sitting in the sand, and the little ones were playing. It was just wow! It was just fabulous. We watched them for a while, but I still didn't see my big lion with the mane. And then again, the tour guide says, after we watched them for about half an hour, time to go. And then out of the bush, there comes this big Simba lion. Whoa! And it was just awesome. And all the other lions followed him in suit, and they went across the safari and over the road, and then they went to the other side, and wow, it was something. And then this other lion, I don't know if it was a lion or lioness, comes out from one of the bushes, and the tour guide says, they're going to fight. Whoa, this is good. So they didn't really fight. They just kind of clawed a little. I guess it was just a happy claw, whatever. But what a beautiful way to end the tour. Not only that, our first day on the mission field with these children, we, as a team, we put on the skit, Daniel in the Lion's Den. And the kids, we had made these craft masks for the kids, and they were like, in the part of the lions, they were roaring in the lion's den. And then on our last day, only God could do this. God showed us his lion's den masterpiece. It was awesome. It was just beautiful. It was great going on this trip. It was a real blessing. And I did see Africa and the Village of Hope sponsorship through the eyes and prayers of a child. It was awesome. God is so good. And if you're obedient and follow what God wants you to do, like Daniel said in the skit, trust God and he will take care of you. Thank you.
Well, you're probably wondering where I got this T-shirt. Maybe you figured out. Yeah, it did come from Tanzania. Kind of interesting story there. We're all at a downtown section. There's all kinds of shops, clothing, food, you name it, selling, you name it. So we were walking in there. Ladies were buying scarves and dresses, various other linen items. And I saw this shirt up there, and I asked the guy what he wanted for it. He said he wanted 20,000 shillings. So I thought, So I'd offered him 15. He says, no. He said, that's not enough. So I went up a bit. He came down a bit. I said, okay, I'll give you 17 for it. He said, no, still not enough. So I turned around to walk away. He tapped me on the shoulder. You got a shirt. But I came away with a lot more than a shirt from Tanzania. This trip gave me a new appreciation for life and all the events that accompany it. Kids in Tanzania really showed me what it is to appreciate what we have, how we enjoy those things and events. Even small, insignificant events can create lots of joy and fun, like chasing bubbles all over the yard, times that can be shared together, playing activities that involve physical exercise while running around, jumping up and down, and helping each other accomplish different goals. The children were very cooperative, helping each other, wanting to be involved, and totally attentive. The kids could hardly wait to get started in their programs, making up game boards or waiting patiently for a skit to be presented to them. Their enjoyment and appreciation gave us lots of encouragement. There was a sense of appreciation everywhere, and bounced back onto the people doing the presentations and activities. This made it more exciting and rewarding for the presenters, seeing the smiles, anticipation, and laughter of the children. It kind of primed our pump and made it more meaningful and challenging us to be at our best. Both Christian Village of Hope camps, Mwanza and Bulale, were very Christian-based in activities and values. Kids would help each other, waiting patiently for the next step or program. To do these games and activities with these children, who have very little possession or toys of their own, gave an appreciation to the adults involved that normally they would likely not have thought of. Facilities were simple, but well suited to the activities that we were doing. Even in all the excitement, what sometimes seemed like organized chaos, there was a purposefulness in the rooms. And indeed, in the end, when the skits were done, playing boards completed, school and writing materials handed out, there was a sense of accomplishment that good things had happened. Along with that sense of accomplishment was a strong sense of appreciation, in particular for the volunteers, that good things had happened here, and a lesson for the volunteers. That's some very strong examples in sharing God's love had taken place. All in all, an unforgettable experience, one that touched the heart and soul of all of us who went to Tanzania.
So I've been to Africa before in Uganda, but as I was looking out of the plane as we landed in Mwanza, Tanzania, I knew this trip was going to be very different from my previous trip to Africa. Working as a team was a new experience for me, but it was so much fun. And when Debbie asked us to think about what we individually would like to speak about this Sunday morning, I wasn't sure. I asked God to reveal to me what He would like me to share with all of you. And that night, the idea came to me, the family of God. Tanzania felt like home because I was surrounded by the family of God. And and the God we serve here is also the same God all around the world in Tanzania. He is everywhere, which means we have brothers and sisters in Christ all around the world. And that's really cool to think about. As we're worshiping and being here this Sunday morning, there's people all around the world worshiping God too. And as a family, we love and care for each other, and we do the hard jobs together. We helped a Village of Hope Buali with cleaning and pulling weeds, the jobs that need to get done. Not always most pleasant, but they needed to get done. And as a family, we care for each other and support each other. And when team members weren't feeling the best, we made sure that we took good care of them. One morning while we were there, I was coming down with a bad cold and was not feeling the best. But the moment I stepped out of the vehicle at the Village of Hope Mwanza, there were children saying my name, welcoming me, giving me hugs, holding my hand. There is no love like that of a family, especially the family of God. They see our abilities better than we do and give us opportunities that we wouldn't have thought of doing ourselves. And on the Friday, we rejoiced as a family as we grew as 19 children accepted Jesus into their hearts. Family supports every member, and we definitely could feel the support of your prayers while we were in Tanzania. Every one of us plays a huge role in the family of God, and whether we're on the trip in Tanzania or all of you here back home, we could feel your supports and your prayers, and it just meant so much to us, and that how we are all connected by the family and love of God. Thank you.
I was excited to be going on this trip because I had never been to Africa before. I had never done children's programs on a missions trip. It was good spending time with the Duggan kids and getting to know them. Kaylee is in grade 11, Caleb grade 8, Judy grade 6, and Lucas is the youngest. They all participated with us at the Villages of Hope and helped us with whatever needed to be done, like acting in skits or prepping crafts for the next day, and appreciated us coming. We went to a youth activity with them on Friday night. We also went out to a movie night at a local theater and experienced seeing a movie in a different culture. It is interesting for missionary kids growing up in a different country, and they have lots of neat experiences, but there are also lots of things they miss from home. It is good for us to remember to pray for them too.
So on the 5th day with the kids in Mwanza, we were able to volunteer alongside the Village of Hope to run their Easter party. It wasn't just for the kids in the Village of Hope, it was for the kids in the community as well. So some of us were able to travel around with the groups to the different stations, and the rest of us were the ones that led the stations as well. So in the first station that I was a part of, the kids made leather salvation bracelets, and the second station is where they learned and they colored the guidelines of the salvation bracelets. There was another station where the story of Jesus, or the story of the resurrection, was told with Easter eggs. And the last one was the story of Jesus, and it was told by like tearing and folding paper. It was really creative. It was amazingly run. All the volunteers that we had that actually ran the stations ran them beautifully. It was amazing. The kids were involved. The kids learned a lot, and they seemed to love it as well. One of my favorite parts of the trip was when we got the opportunity to bond with the kids. On the second day, we had one of the kids, we were playing, well, we brought bubbles and we were playing with bubbles outside, and I found one of the kids, she just looked so lost amongst the chaos of all the bubbles, all the kids running around. So I walked over, I bent down, and she wrapped her tiny little arms around my neck, and so I picked her up, and she just snuggled right into my shoulder. It's the sweetest, most purest thing that I've experienced on that trip. Just the love and the trust that that child alone showed me was amazing. Another opportunity that we had was when we were able to go to, we would finish the programs, and then some of us would go outside and we'd play on the playground before lunchtime. And so we got to play with the kids on the playground, and it doesn't matter what language you speak or if the kids understand you or not, because you better believe that if you start running, there's going to be children chasing after you. And the smile on the kids' face once they caught you, it is priceless. So whether we had a translator around or not, we always found a way to communicate, whether it was smiling, pointing, laughing, whatever worked at the time, it was a good time. But I lost where I was. So that alone was amazing. And the kids, one of the things you learn right off the bat was that they love taking selfies, because apparently it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, the kid will always know the word selfie. And then seeing it afterwards was a given as well. So it was amazing to see the kids playing on the playground where they didn't have to follow the rules of being in a classroom or the rules of eating dinner at the dinner table. They were just being a kid, and it was amazing for us being with them just to be kids again and not have to worry about looking silly or anything like that. The kids really amazed me at how they live life the best that they can with how little they have in comparison to our standards. And I believe that's because in their eyes, they have everything they need. They have a house mom and a house aunt that love them very much. They have kids around them that are like brothers and sisters to them. But most of all, they have Jesus. And I thought I was going on this trip because even for the short time that I was there, I wanted to make sure that these kids felt love through the love of Jesus through me. And even if it was one child that I made smile or laugh, or one child that I hugged, I knew that I completed what God sent me to do. Like Linneke was saying, and Rachel, there was 19 more kids that accepted Jesus into their hearts while we were there, and that alone made the trip worth it. I believe the team and I accomplished what God called us to do, but I also think God had another plan for me, because those kids impacted my life more than I could have ever imagined, and I thought I was there to impact theirs.
So I hope you have enjoyed hearing about all that the team's been doing. We want to thank all of you who helped us with preparations, to the sewing group that sewed dresses and shorts and helped us make the game, other people that contributed craft supplies and financially, everybody that supported our fundraisers, and everybody especially that prayed for us while we were gone. Jamie and Misty really expressed their appreciation for us coming. They said having a team coming at this time really gave them a boost with their enthusiasm and the work that they were doing. The school hadn't been opened yet at Bulali, and it's due to open soon. So the timing of us coming and bringing the kits and everything we were handing out, they said was just perfect. So we know that God's timing is always perfect. And even the program that we presented, the kids were on their Easter school break, and they didn't have school during the day, so it was better for them to have us coming to do the program right at this time. So Jamie and Misty's mission budget, they have contributions that go to the the village at Bulali towards funding there. But right now, the children that are at that village, they don't have sponsors because Urdu can't get sponsors for them until the school is up and running. But the school needs the kids to be sponsored in order to have the finances to run the school. So they're opening the school on faith through Urdu, with the hope that the children will receive sponsors over the next few months. As you can hear, the team, I think we've got 5 spoken for out of 40. Next week at the information desk, I will have some brochures about others. So if you have any questions or any interest, you can talk to me or go to the info desk next week. And I just want to thank you for having us present today. And we just want to leave you with quick things that you might never expect to happen on a missions trip to Africa.
You never know when you might get swamped by children.
Having a flat tire with the Land Rover.
You might go to the movies and have a man fall through the ceiling.
Meet another Canadian who only lives 2 hours away.
You might find a swimming pool in the Serengeti.
You might wait 10 hours in an airport restaurant waiting for your next flight.
You never know that you will be escorted to your room by a Maasai guard with a spear, with the monkeys all around you.
You might wake up at 12:20 in the morning and feel an earthquake tremble.
You might take a corner and find pride of 14 lions at a volleyball court.
Oh, one last thing. We can't go without giving a huge appreciation for Debbie and all the work she's done in preparing for this trip and just putting all the paperwork and just all the plans, keeping us all accountable, making sure we're all together and all of us well. Yes, and being our mom on the trip for us young ones. So, yeah, so a huge thank you to you and just everything that you did for us.
There's some miracles, and I'll tell you one miracle. The miracle is that I didn't go on this missions trip to Tanzania. That's about a miracle, because I'm sitting there thinking, why on earth did I not go? God has got a huge heart for me and for Africa, especially in East Africa, and so I just enjoyed. Thank you. I felt like you took us there, and I appreciate that. It's good to know, and we know you do good work, and you did great work, but it's just great to hear a couple of things we want to do when we have partners in missions is to support them in prayer. We support them in finances. We also support them in human resources. And they said they needed some work on their farm, and we had a veterinarian leader that would lead a team. They needed some kids ministries, and we got some great kids workers that went. It's just great to be able to partner, that God's doing something there, but also send with them finances, send with them prayers, and send with them some human resource support as well. And so thank you for your partnership. I was just hearing a few things as they were talking about, and what really encouraged me to pass on with you as we close the service today, and is just the challenge to go. And that is a challenge. You've heard this pretty clear already. You hear God speaking to them. I mean, I'm having people preach at me stuff I don't remember saying, but I must have said it. But I do remember, ironically, I put in my notes for the message next Sunday. It's not a ability, but it's availability. And I know I've said that more than once. It's something my father said a number of times, but I put it in my notes for next Sunday's message. But God speaks to you. The point of that is not, regardless of who the preacher is, who the speaker, who's leading the worship, God is speaking you and calling you to go, to share his love with a world that needs to hear it. And he will speak to you over and over again, sometimes at night when you're praying about what to say, sometimes in a service, sometimes during singing, sometimes after, sometimes in a phone call, sometimes in quiet, sometimes in the middle of chaos. God is speaking to you, and it'll always be at some form, it'll be surrounded with the message, go. Even when he says wait, he's saying wait so that you prepared to go. That was the upper room experience. I heard a few of the excuses, and in case you missed them, go even when you feel like you're full of fear. Go even when you don't have all the dots connected. Go now, not later. Go even if you think you're too old, you're not too old. Go, because when you go, you're blessed. God blesses you. He provides for you. Go. So as we leave the service today, we're going to sing the song again, God of the City. Last one, we started off with it. They just said, when you can't, God can. It's the message. And so if you've been here and God's been speaking to you, somebody, a neighbor that you can show God's love to, a co-worker, if God's been speaking to you about a missions trip coming up, and you've been wondering if a point of obedience about God's been speaking about being baptized, or God's been speaking to you about being involved in ministry or serving in some way, and you just need that nudge to go, I encourage you. Because the same kind of response that they had and being so thankful and going, it wasn't that it was Tanzania, it wasn't that you have to have Debbie leading your team to go, otherwise you're not going to be happy. But it was stepping out in obedience to the call of God, that God responds then, and we have that response of realizing, this is so good to be walking with God in this situation. I invite you to come and just stand with me. Would you join me and stand together as we worship and just invite God to guide you and lead you. Make yourself available to Him as we sing this song together as a worship team leads us.